Alrighty, so here's everything laid out, minus the knife. Don't need the knife there. We have the instructions. We have the license plate holder, which does not fit my Ontario plate. It does kind of fit it widthwise, so what I'm going to end up doing is probably drilling through there for some new holes, because I am not going to be one of those guys who does not use this bracket right here, because this is very nice and I want to keep it. So I'll find a way. It's gonna happen. This is the bracket here that goes where your stock one was. That guy right there. So this will slide up under and bolt with those 3 bolts that we took off in the uninstall video. Here is our license plate light, LED light. You can see there's 4 LEDs in there. It's branded with the Yoshimura logo. Feels good, feels nice and sturdy, solid. Another bracket, I'm guessing for the mounting. You get what, three zip ties, your mounting bolts, and these would be for your stock turn signals if you're keeping them on your bike, which in this case I am. So I'll be sure to install those as well at the same time, and of course stickers. So what am I going to do first? Install Yoshimura LED Fender Eliminator light onto the license plate bracket using the hardware provided in the kit. See the diagram for proper orientation and order of hardware. Okay, so let's get started on that, and then I'll show you images as I go along. So the image doesn't necessarily say this when it talks about installing the license plate light, but it seems to make sense to me. I'm going to fish these wires through the center hole right there, and that's where your 2 mounting bolts go through, which attach into the back. So to me that's the only way it makes sense. So I'm going to snake this wire through, screw the LED lights onto the back of the mounting plate. So according to the diagram, you're going to use the 4x6 button head screw to mount the LEDs to this bracket right here. Easy to tell without measuring because it's the smallest one in there. Doesn't say you need a washer or anything, you just screw it in, so I'm going to take care of that. Now, it doesn't specify it in the instructions that I've read so far, but what I'm going to do is, just to prevent it from falling off or becoming loose, I'm going to use a little blue Loctite on there on the 2 bolts. I'm probably going to use them on all the bolts I install just to make sure everything fits nice and snug and doesn't come loose while riding, because there is a lot of vibration with the Ninja 650. So just better to be safe than sorry. So I don't know if I mentioned when I was uninstalling just how much hatred I had for removing these little rubber guys from the stock assembly. But that was easy in comparison to putting them into the Yoshimura ones. A holy pain in the ass. There was a little bit of cursing, a little bit of temper tantrum there, but with some love and care and a pair of pliers, I got them in. Never again. I'm never touching them again. The only time I'm touching these actually is if I get the integrated tail kit, and then at that point shit's just getting cut off. Fuck it. I'm not dealing with that again. I'm sure there was an easier way, but I got it done. Alright, so that's left. This is right. And then this mounts here, it looks like. One thing I didn't mention is this plate right here, which we took off on the during the uninstall. You're going to want to put back because it keeps it from it was hard enough to take out and put back in, so I doubt it'll slip out on its own, but just to be on the safe side, you're going to want to make sure you put these plates back on along with the cap here, which holds it down, and your screw with your little washer right there. So I put this one back in already, and I'm going to screw that down, and then I'll do the next one, and then I'll attach the plate to it. So the next step that I'm doing is I snaked the wire for the license plate light through the top, middle, center here. I'll splice it when I'm done, and then what you do is you attach it to the bracket with the instructions they say by 6x10 button head screw. That's number 9 on the list there. So I'm going to use a little Loctite on that, tighten them up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this license plate bracket here with my plate already on. I drilled some new holes because my plate was not compatible with the Yoshimura license plate holder, and I'll be damned if I'm not going to use it. Paid enough for it. So that mounts through the upper part right here, if you can see that right here, which also feeds through to your indicators. So that attaches, the top one feeds through the top right there, and the bottom one's going to feed through the bottom and keep it secure on this end. So with those brackets back in place, keeping your rubber from sliding out from any vibration or bumps or anything like that, then we can actually mount it to the rest of the assembly here along with your license plate. So with everything mounted up, that's how she looks. Everything seems pretty stable, everything seems pretty sturdy. I snaked the wires through the inserts here, and they will be going through that center hole right there. But first I will go ahead and I guess the inevitable, I got to cut this wire off for the license plate light. It's going to pain me to do so, but it needs to be done, and it's going to look good, so that's my justification. Figured I'd record this so you guys can share in my pain here of cutting this wire. So it says at least 6 inches. So I don't know. Do it right around here. That should be enough. Oh man, I don't want to do it. So don't want to do it. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Here we go. Oh, I felt it. I felt it. I circumcised my bike. Looks pretty straightforward. Red to red. I think it says here red to red, and the black looks like the ground, so that's probably going to go to the black and yellow that's inside. And they provide you with these little connectors here that you just crimp on. I'm going to put it back together now, connect the wires, and then I'll go ahead and slide that piece up in here and put the 3 bolts back. This won't be used anymore, and judging by the look of it, I may have some openings here where I'm concerned that condensation and water will get in. Well, condensation will happen regardless, but I may try and somehow block this off. I'll see how it looks once it's in. Alrighty, so I fed the bracket up under where the stock one used to be, attached it by the 3 bolts, made all my connections. It's a little bit messy right now. I'll clean it up after by routing it back under this, and probably use some of those zip ties that they provided when I got it, because if you notice, they kind of just hang underneath right there as well. So I'll probably try and put a little zip tie there just to make everything a little cleaner. And there's the holes that I was telling you about earlier that I'd like to find a way to seal, just to keep any tire spray from going up in everywhere. Other than that, I should have probably tested it before, make sure I got everything right, but where's the fun in that? So let's see how she looks. And we have license plate power, so we were getting light to the plate. That was probably my biggest worry, because I was pretty confident that I put the right indicator on the right side, but this should be turning right. Bam! And of course that works. I'm just going to assume left works, and it does. So that is pretty much how to install the Yoshimura Fender Eliminator. The rest you can just, like I said, clean up the wires, make sure everything's okay. The biggest pains I should say, were One, cutting my stock wire. I wish there was a way around that. The other would be actually mounting these indicators onto their frame here. That was a big pain. But I think that was the worst of it. I had to drill new holes in my plate just so I could use this bracket right here, the license plate holder. But you know what? The plate to me is not worth nearly as much as having that right there. Nice Yoshimura logo. So once I get everything back together, I'll get a shot of her all lit up, and I'll turn off the lights and see how bright that plate light is and how well it lights it up in the dark. And without further ado, that's how she looks. They're nice and bright actually, those LEDs. Very pleased with that. Let's turn the lights back on. That is how she looks. Nice and tucked up in there. What a difference from how it looks stock, that's for sure. We went from this guy right here, which probably hung out to about here, to that. And difference in weight, huge. Excellent. Very pleased with it. And my next task is the frame sliders.